radio on Berlin.
More music, more music, more music, more music.
You're listening to Radio On, and this is the Tape Review Show just before Christmas 2023. Very special event here. Mim King from the UK. Oh, hang on a second. I've just got to bring your microphone in. Mim King from the UK.
Monday evening greetings.
And Jason Oni, the one and only.
Good evening, everyone.
And Rinus van Alebeek.
I'm holding my cup.
Holding your what? Already? Oh. Okay. And yeah, the plan was that we were going to go straight into a CD, wasn't it, Rinus? Are you going to say anything about the CD?
It's by Ted Traeger, and the CD is great, and that's why I want to play it right away so that we won't forget.
Great. Okay. All right, we'll just bring it in. So that's pretty amazing on our show to go straight in with some music.
Yeah.
Normally we talk for like 20 minutes and then forget about the music and then go into something. So here it goes. Ted Traeger.
Vuelo 995 con destino a Ciudad de México cumplió con las medidas de bioseguridad. Está listo para usar oxígeno fluido. La tripulación del día de hoy está comandada por el capitán Rolando Díaz.
Cómodamente acostado sobre el narizoca durante todo nuestro vuelo.
Nuestro tiempo de estimado de vuelo será de 3 horas. A partir de este momento debemos desplazado con áreas de seguridad abrochado y se conducirá con presión de avión hasta que nos lleve
Cómodamente acostado sobre el narizoca durante todo nuestro vuelo.
Got 9 seconds, 8 seconds. You're listening to Radio On, the delightful sounds. It sounds very Christmassy as well, of Ted Traeger.
Well, that's what he opens his postcard with. Christmas is ruined, although this is a release by Die, and you know how to pronounce it?
Die Seelerkamp.
Yeah.
Prehistoric.
He's from Wales. So
Christmas is
Die,
ruined, just in
not
time
as
to
in
ruin
die.
Christmas. Lovely work by my mysterious northerner, as always, and on the packaging. I shall treasure it. Here's a zine I made, which Die is in, and a CD of stuff I made for the personal business project Hal McGee instigated. Happy New Year! But this postcard was from last year.
Oh, yeah.
So
okay.
this all came very in time.
That's last Christmas post.
Yeah. And since the Hal McGee name is mentioned, that's one of the masters of dictaphone manipulations and dictaphone recordings. I guess that what we heard was
Jason's
also
yawning in the
a
background.
kind of mix from dictaphone recordings.
Did you
Ted Traeger.
Ted Traeger, ladies and
Check
gentlemen.
check him out. Beautiful, really beautiful zine things and drawings and illustrations, etc., etc.
Great.
So,
Thanks.
isn't that a classic example of Musique Concrete?
Good question.
Yeah?
What's the definition of
I don't
music
know
concrete?
exactly the definition. I thought Musique Concrete incorporates sound field recordings with maybe perhaps here and there elements of conventional music. Anyway, what we just heard struck me as being exactly that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
For me, it sounded very Christmassy.
Yeah, I think we can tag it with Musique Concrete and Christmas.
Nice. Yeah, a new genre.
Okay.
Chris Cronmas.
Concrete. Have you ever owned a dictaphone, Mim?
Yeah, I did have a little one.
Yeah.
Just a little press button one. I think it recorded about 20 minutes worth of something.
Depends on the tape you put in it.
Yeah,
20-minute
little
tapes.
mini tape thing it had.
And what did you do with it?
Oh,
I mean, what kind of recordings did you make?
I would actually record just sounds I might hear, like on street corners, or if I was away. I remember being, where was I? In Porto in Portugal. And there being a market with lots of birds, but also dogs as well, and just recording all these sounds of animals, and then trams, and so I have
So
done
your
that.
ears are open all the time.
Yeah, so just having a aural recording rather than a photograph of a place.
Right.
Yeah.
And Jason, have you ever owned one of these?
Several. I used to have a mini cassette dictaphone, like something you would put inside a answering machine.
Yes,
You'd use an answering
yes,
machine?
this is what I had, yeah.
But then all of a sudden, Lauren Chassis turned me on to the Olympus Digital dictaphone. It was about as big as your thumb, had a big silver button in the middle. And you could record. I don't think I ever maxed out the memory capacity on one of those things. What ended up happening is, rainwater got in it. A skunk or a squirrel might have urinated on it. Something chewed on it. It got stepped on. That's what ultimately ended up happening to those things. Actually, I just came across a box in my room. I've got 3 or 4 of them.
The
And I
little
was wondering-
cassettes?
No, the actual digital Olympus.
Oh.
And I wondered, do they have little mini servers in there or something? I mean, could I retrieve that information somehow? It'd be neat to listen to 20 years after the fact.
I imagine you can just connect it to something, and then there might be a program you need, but we'll ask our listeners.
Okay.
Maybe Santa Claus will bring it in for you in one of those things.
For a while there, they got pretty expensive, but now because there's no longer a focus on them, if you were to go to Saturn or any of those places, you can get one for like €6.
Right. I remember distinctly, because my dad was a manager of this insurance company when I was a kid, and whenever we went to see him in his big office with a picture of the Pilgrim Fathers behind him, the Plymouth Fathers. He had this dictaphone in his hand, and he was dictating to his secretaries.
Oh.
Now, pause, new paragraph, full stop. We will be going down to blah, 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 £5 on the horses, full stop, paragraph. Joan, can you get that down before 9 a.m. on Tuesday? And that was my impression of these things. So whenever I see them, they always remind me of like my dad's work and stuff like that. And so there's this sense of boredom with them, but also not knowing what they're for, and also that they were used with those typing machines and stuff like that when people really had real typewriters and stuff. Yeah. That's all you could hear in the office all the time. This kind of
click.
Well, like Mim just said, it's almost like an oral photograph, right? It's like having a Polaroid.
I've still got the tapes as well, amazingly enough.
Yeah,
of him chatting away. Chatting away.
I think Nikki Sutton told me that some of those old Swell Maps recordings were actually done on Lois, Nikki's mom's,
right,
a dictaphone that they would just set up.
Amazing.
In the living room, and the Swell Maps would just play, and that's what they recorded to. That little tape, that little cassette, you know. They do actually kind of sound like it, too. Some of that early stuff.
I guess I should ask Rinus about his earliest tape. How many have you got, Rinus?
Dictaphones?
Yeah. You must have loads. You are the dictaphone king.
I really
Prince.
don't know.
I don't know. So many in your cupboards. You open them, they
there
fall out.
must be between 10 and 20, but I really don't know.
Wow, I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But there's another round of questions which I want to sort of introduce now. Is your earliest Berlin memory?
You want your answer on the Musique Concrete?
Oh yeah, true.
Sure.
Okay.
What else can we say?
You know the definition?
I know a little bit the history.
Sure.
So,
I'd like to know.
so maybe from the history we can define what it is, because spoiler alert, I think this definition was only valid in the 50s and maybe the early years of the 60s.
Okay.
As long as there was a reel-to-reel recorder, but once that was joined by the cassette tape and 4-track recorder, I think this definition lost its power and its use. So this all started in France with a guy called Pierre Schaeffer, but in fact it was happening in all the radiophonic studios in the studios of the radio, where they found out that there was a lot of possibilities that you could do with tape recorders, with reel-to-reel recorders. And Pierre Schaeffer thought okay, I've got these recordings on tape, not necessarily recordings he made out in the open, also music. And he thought okay, if I cut the tape and glue it to something else, then I might be able to create some kind of different music, all through mechanics. And he called this Musique Concrete.
Okay.
And he tried, and in the end he concluded that he failed in his experiment, because music, according to him, was all coming down to do, re, mi. And there's no do, re, mi in the recordings that he had. But meanwhile, all those guys with the big reel-to-reel machines, and maybe the giant rock star is Luc Ferrari, but you're really talking about Egypt, Cologne, Warsaw, London. Everywhere they were doing these experiments. Even William Burroughs was doing this.
Right.
Yeah.
And just gluing them together. And I know from a visit to the house of Luc Ferrari, then dead, but his wife still living, that and she told me that his way of working was having 4 Nagras. And that's the Rolls Royce in the reel-to-reel world. 4 Nagras connected to one mixer, and that's how he mixed everything.
Wow.
And before it was already manipulated. So, but then the 4-track came, and on the 4-track you don't have to cut the tape anymore. You just put them one to the other, and then people started just throwing everything into it.
Right.
And I think with the development of music, with new music, etc., 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 this experiment was very short-lived. And with those people who did it in those years, the originators, I think when they stopped, the whole thing stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And now if people say, this is Musique Concrete, no, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to use scissors and glue the tape together.
Yeah.
And you can't do it digitally. There's so many genres and subgenres that the definition it's watered down, it's diluted. Yeah.
Maybe there'll be an AI that can, cut things up with scissors and stuff and make collages and all sorts of things. A lo-fi AI. Oh no! Look, I'm going to edit this out of the show. So you 7 people that are listening now, you can't use that, right? We know who you are. We know where you live, which countries you live in. Anyway, we don't actually know your addresses, but in any case, yeah, lo-fi. I've even forgotten what I just said. Anyway,
Yum.
Yeah.
Low-flying aphid. No, I don't know.
Low-flying aphids. Yeah, something like that. There's loads of questions that come up which are kind of connected to that, but I wanted to just go round and ask your earliest memories of Berlin. Your earliest memories. Everybody. Mim's got her hand up.
It was this very week, 44 years ago, so December 1979, and would have come on the train from London to Harwich and then Hoek van Holland and then a train into Berlin. I was at art college and wanting to see the Berlin Wall, and it would have been night time and approaching where the wall was and being surprised how it wasn't very big, because I grew up in Shephard's Bush in London next to Wormwood Scrubs Prison, which was the biggest male prison in Britain, and the Berlin Wall looked quite little compared to it. So that was my first impression, was wanting to see the Berlin Wall. There you go.
Amazing.
Okay, it's not as big as I thought it would be, but obviously, once you could see over the top,
I guess. Was it Wormwood Scrubs?
Wormwood Scrubs.
Yeah. Did that have guys with guns and
it had the
like
very first CCTVs put up because there'd be lots of escapes. So the first cameras I ever saw that followed you, because there'd be a footpath around the back of the prison. And I'd be walking with my friends because it was a big open space at the back of the prison. And these cameras would follow you.
Amazing.
So cameras.
I mean, we were saying in another show, you were saying, Rinus, that there is this footage now from the East German Guards that would be filming people. Andy Warsaw. New guy. You can't use that one either, right? That's a new one. .com. AndyWarsaw.com.
Yeah.
Right. This footage is now available for anyone to see. It's very daily life sort of stuff, but now it's historical, of course, because you might be able to spot yourself in the pictures. Mim, there's probably footage of you.
Yeah, because I then came back summer 1980, and I can certainly, remember.
What were you wearing?
Me and my boyfriend at the time, we had, it sounds really silly now. We both had grey zip-up jumpsuits on and backpacks and peaked hats, and we probably looked a little bit suspicious because you could go up those onto the platforms and look over the wall, but then you'd see the watchtowers, and in the watchtowers would be the guards with cameras with really, really long lenses, and certainly having them focused on us. Yeah.
So there's a file on you somewhere.
Yeah, and then it being a bit difficult to go through Checkpoint Charlie because they took our passports away at one point, and anyway, it was all okay. Got through.
Good.
Got through. Came back again.
Jason, earliest memories of Berlin?
I can definitely tell you, but hold on.
Go on.
Now you've got me hooked. What was the name of this prison? Wormwood?
Wormwood Scrubs Great name.
It's a great drink as well, apparently.
So the Jam
used to.
The Jam had this single.
Go on.
Oh,
Down in the tube station at
yes,
midnight.
yes.
And we used to listen to that.
Yeah.
And then Weller would go, they smelled of pubs and Wormwood scrubs and too many right-wing meetings. And we're like going, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Wait, what did he just say? And we would listen to it. And I remember my buddy Bob going, I think he said Wormwood?
Wormwood Scrubs was the name of the prison, yeah.
We had no idea in the world what that. In fact, actually, up until till right now,
There you go.
I didn't know that Wormwood Scrubs is a prison.
So wormwood is a type of bush,
Right.
and scrub means scrubland.
Mm-hmm.
So Wormwood Scrubs prison was built possibly 1880s on what would have been scrubland on the edge of London.
Okay.
So that's why
Isn't
it's
that
called
Wormwood that
Yes.
active agent in absinthe?
Exactly.
Ah,
It's a drink
maybe.
as well. You can. It's a prison and it's a drink and it's a radioactive zone in the former Ukraine. What was the name of the nuclear power station?
Chernobyl.
Chernobyl is Wormwood in Russian, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really?
Really?
I never knew that.
Everything's
I never
coming
knew
now.
that.
I never knew that.
Wow.
Everyone out there is going like, I just googled it. It's not true, but I think it is. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Okay. So the question at hand was my first memory of Berlin. I guess my first memory of Berlin had everything to do with Checkpoint Alpha, which would be Helmstedt, West Germany. That was that border that we had to pass through on the immediate East German, West German border before you even got on the Autobahn to Berlin, West Berlin. So I remember definitely being held up there by the East German border personnel. They must have kept us for 2 or 3 hours, just absolutely going through the van like crazy. And then we were allowed to drive, and then we then we pulled at Checkpoint Bravo, which would have been on the edge of West Berlin and Brandenburg, East Germany. Actually, Checkpoint Bravo, you can still see whatever freeway or Autobahn that is that you take from the west, approaching Berlin from the west. You pass through this section of, it's on the Potsdam-Berlin border, and you can see all these facility buildings around all over the place, okay? That was Checkpoint Bravo. And there, the East Germans had an old Russian World War II T-34 tank on this pedestal.
Ah.
Right, and then in Cyrillic around it said, Old Glory to the Red Army, something like this. That's long since gone. The pedestal is there, but the tank is long since gone.
Wow.
Yeah, but that facility place is still out there. And then when we got into Berlin, I remember just like hanging around. It was like punk rock stuff. We played at this place called Clash over here in Mehringdamm.
Right.
It was dark. It was summer, so it was warm. Just hanging around, and I just kind of pinching myself because I couldn't believe that I was actually in Berlin.
What year was that?
That would have been 87. That was a little bit later.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But before
86,
the wall
87.
came down, yeah.
The wall was very present.
Yeah.
And then, when we left Berlin, 2 days later, we had to go to Hamburg. And we were on that Autobahn, or whatever that section of road is you call back in the day, between West Berlin and Hamburg. And there, when we were out in the countryside, we got stopped by Soviet military police who hauled us out of the vehicle, made us pull everything out. They wanted to look at everything. And right there was an old German barracks that the Soviets had taken over after the war. There was all kinds of Soviet armor haphazardly parked just all over the place. I mean, compared to like what I imagine a NATO tank harbor looking like. I mean, this was just like, stuff was parked sideways, diagonal, almost on top of each other.
Crazy.
Yeah, and they hauled us out, and they started asking all kinds of questions and looking at things. Of course, they never harmed us. They didn't point their weapons at us or anything like that. But I remember it was at some point, a Dutch woman who was with us, Johanna Mack, she said, okay, guys, this is the point where they probably want us to give them money, or let's just give them T-shirts and albums and stuff like that. So we just started giving them T-shirts and albums.
Wow.
And they were like a bunch of 18, 19-year-old military police. I mean, they were just like bumpkins.
Maybe they thought you were the Rolling Stones or something like that.
They didn't think that, but it got us out of there real quick.
Yeah.
So that definitely made a huge impression. And of course, seeing the Berlin Wall. You just mentioned those wooden observation platforms you could climb up to. Yeah. I was actually just today. One of my colleagues at work posted an image yesterday of both Bowie and Iggy standing at the Neue Wache. And Bowie looking very much like the Thin White Duke, and Iggy's got these U.S. paratrooper boots on, laced up, with some sort of cargo pants stuffed into him with like a Clark Kent kind of like trench coat. And he's got this platinum blonde floppy haircut and just doing that shit-eating Iggy Pop smile, and David Bowie keeping it cool. And then the looks on the faces of the East German honor guard standing at the entryway to the Neue Wache, just sort of like trying to keep a straight face, but like just looking at Iggy and David, that. So based on that, I found a picture today of the Sex Pistols when they were in Berlin. Right after God Save the Queen came out, McLaren had to get them out of England real fast. Yeah, I think, didn't Rotten get stabbed? He got stabbed. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he got stabbed. And Paul Cook got the living crap beat out of him somewhere. And
I think this was all McLaren's sort of
machinations.
Part of his kind of strategy, wasn't it, to make them as hated as possible and beaten up as possible? But anyway,
he certainly took advantage of the situation. So I think initially they were in Amsterdam, and then they were in Berlin only for 2 days. They didn't play a show here. The Sex Pistols were just in Berlin for like 2 days.
I can't imagine that they played in Amsterdam.
And then I don't think they played Amsterdam, but they were in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
And then they went up to Scandinavia. And they did a series of shows in Scandinavia. I know that they did one in Oslo. I think they did one in Gothenburg. They did one, but they were up there for did 4 or 5 dates up there. And then gradually he brought them back into the UK and, But anyway, so I posted that picture. And it's the 4 Sex Pistols standing on the western side of the partition in front of the Brandenburg Gate. And that kind of reminded me, that picture, that type of weather. Because we were here in the summertime, and then we came back in November.
Very different.
It was very different. And
snow,
it was free. There was no snow, but I just remember how filthy Kreuzberg. In fact, Heinrichsplatz, here where we are, how filthy Heinrichsplatz was.
Or Rio Reiserplatz.
Rio Reiserplatz.
Yeah.
I mean, just blood. Human feces, dog feces, junkie vomit, needles, shattered glass, chicken bones, just everything.
That's our Christmas recipe. Christmas dinner recipe for you out there, folks who have just joined us.
But anyway, so that was my first memory of it.
Thank you very much. Rinus, come on, you must have a memory. Or maybe we don't count because we're replicants. We don't have real memories. They're just implanted, aren't they? Oh, I can hear some buzzing as well. Look at that. Yeah, so we must be replicants. Shall we go to a tape?
Yeah, sure.
Or we were sent in something. Were we?
We are at this one because that was in the packet with the Robert Pepper surprise package.
And what is it?
With the pin-up tape. This lady posing like the Black Madonna with a white face. And then this Polish tape with the Dutch word papier in it, which I don't understand. And then Robert's own tape. Yeah.
Can you say who Robert Pepper is for those people that are not?
Robert Pepper is the guy from Pas Music, and of course he works with the French language, because pas musique would be then it's not music, but PAS is an abbreviation of post abortion stress or something like that. A might be something else, but it's very, very tough.
But pas musique, not music, and isn't that the name of your book? I'm plugging your book now, Rinus.
You've got a book out?
No, this is not music.
No, this maybe there will be a reissue, Lula, are you listening? And it is Stop the Music.
Don't stop the music.
No, stop.
Can't stop the music.
Stop the music.
Paul Williams. Do you remember that? Yeah. Can't stop the music.
Quickly before Rinus says, talking about Paul Weller and I was putting Maya, my child, to sleep the other day, and I found myself singing a mantra of "You're the best thing that ever happened to," and I couldn't remember.
That was the Style Council.
It was the Style Council with Paul Weller.
You're the best,
and I never liked it at the time. To me. Oh, God.
I like that.
And
I like some of that Style Council stuff. Not all of it, but some of it was good.
Because, Paul Weller, it never really struck me as I never really liked his stuff. But of course, I went back to this Style Council thing, and it's incredible for its time, and even now it stands the test of. And he has a pretty good voice. I mean, that's subjective.
He was singing on Brighton Beach some point earlier this year.
Early in the morning.
No.
Sorry.
No, because he's got a band,
drowned.
is it High Flying Birds?
No, that's
the
Noel Gallagher.
Oasis guy.
Noel Gallagher.
That's Noel Gallagher.
Okay,
maybe it was
Paul
both
Weller.
of them.
Right,
Sorry.
but Noel Gallagher and Weller, they collaborate.
Yeah, okay.
So I knew it because they just don't seem to smile. They seem to be very aggressive. And they'd be throwing Brighton Beach stones at people and seagulls and things like that, I would imagine.
Can I say something just real quick about
your book?
Paul Weller and his various bands and his aesthetics. You mentioned he never smiled and things like that. As kids, the Jam were, as for a bunch of Americans, were pretty exotic. And you could get the records, certainly. They did play a couple of times in the early days in San Francisco, but after that you never, ever, ever saw them. And the Jam were kind of punk rock heavies. But then, I think it was 84 or 83 when the Style Council started putting out records. And I remember a friend's little brother had a 12-inch EP. Long Hot Summer, I think was the track. And we looked at the cover, there's Paul Weller in like these white pressed slacks with like a fuzzy sweater, wrapped over his shoulders, and just to us it just seemed this is the most.
That was Thatcher, wasn't it? That was her
you
fault.
tell me. You tell me.
Just back from a holiday to Italy, and then we picked this up.
Right.
That's all the hedonist fashion of the 80s.
Right. As a matter of fact, I think on the cover
champagne and cocaine.
Who was the other guy? Mick Talbot was the other guy, I think, in the Style Council together. And
right.
Mick Talbot, if I'm not mistaken, was in the Purple Hearts or in the Vendettas or one of these British punk era mod bands.
Right.
Can I put some culture in this show?
I thought I was doing that right
now. Brighton Beach. You're all talking about Brighton Beach, and of course it's the beach in Brighton, no? But it's also a part of New York.
Yes, it is.
And maybe a song by the Ramones, if I can stay a little bit on your level.
Rockaway Beach.
No, but you mentioned Brighton Beach, and I immediately think of Isaac Bashevis' Singer, which is one of the biggest writers of the last century. So that's it.
That's your injection of culture, Rinus. Well, Mim,
I think Nobel Prize end of the 70s, early 80s. Really, if you need a book like
look it up, folks.
You're tired of your Jean Le Carré or whatever, then, or Ruth Randall or Agatha Christie.
Can you say it once again?
I don't know how to pronounce the middle name. It's Bashevis. And it's not hashish. Bashish. Maybe, and it's Jewish, of course, because it's Isaac Bashevis, Singer. From Warsaw, I think, via Berlin to New York.
That was
your... And coming back to the dictaphone, he might have dictated his stories in Yiddish into a dictaphone for a secretary to type them out, because they were originally written in Yiddish.
Got to say, before we play the tape...
You want the Berlin connection?
Oh, no, I was just going to
Okay.
quickly say that, Mim, you, if I'm right in saying you went from London to Warsaw to then Berlin. Is that right?
No, it was the summer after the December when I first come. We got a one-way ticket to Warsaw.
Oh, Warsaw.
Warsaw.
Mm.
But I only went because it was the title of a David Bowie track. I'd been in Berlin that previous winter, and at Friedrichstrasse there was a train that said Warsaw. I thought, that's a Bowie track.
Right.
That's got to be worth going to. So somehow, with a lot of complication, got enough visas and whatnot to get a one-way ticket to Warsaw, and that was July 1980.
Wow. Sounds so romantic.
It was harsh, though. It was really harsh.
If you stand on a different platform, you go to Neukölln.
Oh.
Same album.
But it was, so it was getting, like you were saying, it was getting the train from London to Holland, through West Germany, through the border into East Germany, and then the border from East Germany into West Germany. And everywhere would get searched. You know, the border guards would come on, often with Alsatian dogs, unscrew panels around your feet in case there's anyone hiding in there. I can always remember when the train came in to West Berlin, there was like this very low bridge that the train went through that had guards with guns on the top. So they were checking no one was lying on the top of the train.
Right.
Crazy.
Trying to get from East Germany into West Berlin. And and then we continued from Friedrichstrasse to Warsaw, or Warsaw, and then from there to Krakow, and Krakow to Budapest. And anyway, it was a...
That's neat. You got to do that stuff and see
all
that back
that
then.
stuff in 1980. Yeah. It was quite harsh. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay,
Some sounds.
Dr. Pepper. No, sorry. Here it goes. Play it. Radio On, and that's Robert Pepper. Not
Am I there?
Dr. Pepper. Sponsored by a drink coming your way.
Hello.
I found that beat very effective.
Yeah. Mim, what did you think of that beat?
I found it very tickly. Like, whoa, tickly. And then I also had an image of like lots of efflorescent kind of balloons going up, but then this kind of bass holding them down on these very thin strings.
Maybe you can find the image in this booklet because he also paints.
Oh.
Let's pass the booklet to...
I'm wondering if that beat was synthetically, artificially produced, or if that's actually...
A balloon.
No, a real...
being hit.
A real percussive
Instrument.
surface being banged on.
Do you think we'll ever find out?
That resonance, was that resonance real? That vibration, that
Could be a synth.
that ring? Yeah.
Could be also a very metaphysical question. Was that resonance real?
Which reminds me of my dear buddy Lauren Chassie, who, together with Michael Northam, I think this is something that those guys shared. They were not satisfied and never would have ever relied on any kind of MIDI artificially produced sound. Everything had to be organic. All sounds had to be organic. Now, when that stuff was mixed, way back in the day, there was stuff like Pro Tools. I mean, Pro Tools today is like, what, archaic? Or does anyone even know what Pro Tools is anymore?
I think it's still being... I mean, how you have to talk about where and which studios or home studios or what. But yeah.
Okay. But dumping all that stuff into Pro Tools and then producing it that way was one thing. But at the source, all of the sounds had to be organic. So you could never get... They would never have dealt with a AI-produced resonance like what we just heard. That
was that?
I don't know.
Not saying, Robert,
isn't everything AI these days?
Good question.
Aren't all our fruits and vegetables AI or artificial?
Artificial intelligent.
Or artificial something. Artificial something. Or genetically.
I think you've just invented something there, Jason. All right, that's another copyright thing. There's like 3 copyrighted things with this show. Okay, you can't. You can develop them, but
never do that.
But but when we're in space, heading towards the outer heavens, then remember us.
Outer heavens. Speaking of which, did anybody see the beautiful moon tonight?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, really bright moon.
It's I think Nick Cave coined it. It's the moon became a the moon looks like a wolf fang.
Ah, yes, it is.
It's
tonight,
sort of a
isn't it?
sickle, but it's kind of just like
Yeah, like it's about
fang on the sky.
It's about to fang into something.
To bring something down.
Kreuzberg moon.
Okay, how do we get from David Bowie? How do we get to Wormwood Scrubs to Wolfgang Moons to
jumping around?
Wow, I'm looking at this booklet and it's quite
This is Robert
extraordinary.
Pepper's booklet.
Oh, yeah. Because here in this image, there are like these little circular things going up there. And it's very, very, by tickly, I mean, I kind of get shudders on my shoulders.
Shivers?
Shivers. Kind of not cold, more like shudders. Yeah. Just seeing if there's any moon images in this booklet.
I'm kind of happy about that crazy looking moon tonight because it is December and we're only a few days away before Christmas, which always reminds me of those absolutely stunning, gorgeous, wonderful early 70s BBC Christmas ghost stories.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Those are good.
Which ones were your favourite then, Jace?
Okay, so there's the one... there's a couple of them. Actually, you know who turned me... Giles Shoom turned me on to these.
Okay.
You know Giles, right?
No.
You know the guy from London who lives here in the neighbourhood? He's buddies with Chris Hughes and Nicky and John Evans and...
Possibly.
He's from London. Giles? You don't know? Okay, I thought you guys would have known each other from way back.
Because we're from the UK.
No, because because you're English in Berlin, and you know, there's not a million of, there's not millions and millions and millions of English in Berlin.
Do you know everybody in London? Do you think?
Not yet.
Not yet.
But can you walk down the street without someone saying hi to you?
Often that happens in London. Sometimes I do bump into people that I know, but certainly in Brighton.
Not necessarily in London either. What about Can you mention anything about Roger Eno?
Oh no, I'm embarrassed.
Go on.
No, I really love the music of Roger Eno. And
Jason's looking a bit. Do you
who's
recognise?
Roger Eno?
Who is he?
Is he in the Cocteau Twins?
No, he's a pianist and musician. I knew where he lived. I don't want to.
He's the brother of.
Another Eno.
Oh, really?
Eno.
Are they siblings?
Yeah.
He's the brother.
Brian Eno's 11 years older, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I had really been wanting to meet Roger Eno to tell him that I loved his music.
Mm-hmm.
And I did. I managed to meet him this year, but I'm embarrassed.
Why?
I bumped into him because I kind of knew where he lived, and my friend lived in the same little village. And when I did, there he was walking along the pavement. And
Did you buy a dog?
I'd buy a dog?
Yeah.
So I could walk around.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of Alebeek.
Yeah. No, and
Dum.
and I just said, Roger, I've been looking for you. And he went, have you? Well, here I am. And he was very friendly. Yeah, it was all good. Anyway, I don't
That was the first occasion you met him.
Embarrassed. I didn't talk about it.
Do you guys any of you still see Joe Jackson sitting around Kreutzberg and Neukölln?
How would I recognise him?
Because he looks like Joe Jackson.
What was the song he did? I remember there was a big. Oh no! Rinus is taking his headphones off.
Into the
Okay.
I actually used to see him here at Görlitzer Bahnhof all the time, sitting with his husband, or
I don't know.
sometimes
With a smoke weed?
With a dog?
No, I mean sometimes he's in drag. Sometimes he's just in Joe Jackson clothes. He sits over here. Who else I used to see around all the time was these Americans. So you guys probably don't know who they are. Bob Mould from Husker Du.
Oh, I've heard
He and his husband lived in Schöneberg for a long time. I see Thurston Moore walking around here all the time.
He didn't live in Berlin.
No, he didn't live in Berlin, but those guys were in Berlin all the time recording stuff. Lydia Lunch used to see in Berlin, walking around all over.
Yeah.
And then Jay
shaking his head.
And everyone, and by the way, I wanted to talk to you about this because I'm hoping that we would actually be able to maybe do an interview with him. Budgie from Susie and the Banshees.
No way, is he in Berlin?
He lives in Grunewald.
Whoa.
And he's been living there for a long, long time. And I guess if anybody out there is listening to this, I heard he's extremely private.
There's eight people listening.
Okay, well, I'm not sure if it's actually true, but I've heard he's extremely private. But he'd be a great interview, wouldn't he?
Yeah, great. Yes, of course, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's because you and your phone are connected to our radio, no? That's the extra two listeners, or not?
Huh? Don't think about it too much.
Okay.
Rinus, you're about to
I'm
say...
I'm scanning. Did I see any famous people in Berlin?
Yeah.
No.
Who have I seen?
I said no.
No. You've got a David Bowie story, haven't you, Mim? Yes. How if I was to say bread, cheese, and something.
Then we are back at the prison.
Yeah, let's quickly twang ourselves back.
The bread, cheese, and a newspaper was what Roger Eno was carrying. When I bumped into him.
That's right. That connects us again, doesn't it?
No,
but that was before that. There's a connection with the Tate.
Yeah, nearly.
Jobs that we have nearly done in our lives.
To give David Bowie a tour of Tate Modern in London.
You did?
Nearly,
Wow.
but sadly he passed away just before I had that opportunity. I used to work at Tate Modern, Tate Britain, doing private tours for people. And then I found out from one of the other people who worked there that he said on his very first tour that he gave, private tour, he was pretty nervous. Because he had to wait in an area to meet a family, and then someone organising that tour went to him and said, can you just wait somewhere more discreetly, like by the lift, because it's quite a famous person and his family who's coming. And so this person went to the lift, and as the lift opened, it was David Bowie with Iman and their daughter Alexandra and another young teenager. And he had to give David Bowie a tour of Tate Modern.
Right.
So when I found out that happened, I spoke to the person in charge of organising these tours. He'd booked just in the name David Jones.
Right. His real name, right?
Yeah, with his real name. So when I found out that had happened, I requested that, did that happen often? And it was, he would often go to Tate Modern because at the time, he'd been a big collector of art, had a fantastic art collection.
Yeah.
Oh, heavens, after he died, it was all auctioned, and I went to an exhibition that Sotheby's did of all the paintings, German Expressionist painting to British painters like Frank Alebeek, and So anyway, so I did. I said I would like that job. Does he come often? And to which the answer was yes, he does, because of his interest in art, and often he'd lend art that he owned to exhibitions. But the person who gave him the tour that day, I said, "What did he look like? What was he wearing?" Apparently, Bowie had a flat cap on and was carrying a Sunday. It was a Sunday afternoon. He had a Sunday newspaper rolled in the crook of his arm. So I was all lined up to be able to do the next visit that he had, but then he passed away.
Yeah.
So there we go.
And what was the name of your... Sorry, I know I'm just hooking this in, but you had... For me, it was a brilliant name for your tour guide.
Oh, the one I did at Tate Britain. Tea, Bed, Bread and Fags. So that was looking at British painting that had tea bags or teapots or cups of tea, bread, beds and cigarettes. Tea, bed and fags.
Who were the tea people?
Peter Blake. There was the kitchen sink painters. Yeah. And I can't remember. I would love to have looked up this name of this artist from 1940s. It was a beautiful painting of a street in Battersea, and it had like barrage balloons up.
Oh wow!
Because barrage
from the war.
Yeah. So he painted it in the war. So these barrage balloons, and it was an image of a couple of women carrying all their bedding, like rolled up mattress and sheets and blankets, and in the foreground, a beautiful, very detailed picture of Woodbine cigarettes, perhaps. Yeah. So
maybe that could be a Radio On T-shirt. No, to have your name in big letters, Mim.
I've got to find the name of that artist. Sadly, he I think, he died in the Second World War. I think the painting was from 1942.
Battersea, isn't that sort of Hackney?
Hackney's in the east. Battersea is right by the Thames.
Right.
So
I've only seen it from the tube.
Battersea used to have a big power station, which is now a shopping centre.
With the four stacks?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, for an American, that was like Gothic London to us, those images, Yeah. In fact, I remember when Animals, that Pink Floyd album came out, I had it, looked there and had my sister's house in San Francisco with headphones on listening to it. And I would just stare at that cover for hours.
Wow.
Yeah. And something about that sky over London was so dreamy to me. Yeah. But it was affected. They'd produced it in some way that made it look older than it was. It looked like almost something from the 19th or the 20th century. Yeah. Really, really amazing. Yeah.
We had pigs in the air as well, flying pigs by then.
Pigs on the wing.
Exactly.
So David Bowie story. Okay, so this is not my own personal David Bowie story. A buddy of mine was in Santa Monica, Los Angeles, hanging out at the fucking beach, right? And David Bowie is like in line at like a 7-Eleven, getting his kid like a Slurpee. And he said, too, he goes, he had a newspaper. Dude, he had like this newspaper.
Did he?
He had
the newspaper
he had his newspaper under his arm. And then all of a sudden, David Bowie goes, oh my God, I seem to have forgotten my wallet.
Really?
And the person behind the counter goes, Bowie?
It's on us.
He goes, Bowie? Hit the beach. And that was it. David Bowie got let off the hook for that 75-cent raspberry Slurpee or whatever it was he had.
Wow.
There's some advantages to being a rock star.
Yeah.
So,
ice cream for free or Slurpees for free.
You guys, as a tour guide here in town, and as a matter of fact, I just ended a tour here about 3 hours ago, the alternative tour. And I always conclude the tour with talking about Bowie and Iggy being in Berlin, you know. And the shape that those guys were in when they left Los Angeles in 1973, 1974. I mean, those guys were just completely off their rockers. Yeah. And coming here to Berlin trying to get their act together.
Yeah.
And they most certainly did. I mean, come on, what did Bowie get done here? Heroes, Station to... I thought it was The Lodger.
I think Mim can...
Heroes.
Yeah, it was Heroes, Station to Station.
And The Lodger, right?
It would have been Lodger.
No,
Or
Low Heroes and Lodger.
Low. Sorry, I got the low.
Low.
Got the low wrong. Yeah, low.
Because we were outside his house, weren't we?
Yes.
You know, just...
Saturday.
Yeah, 155...
I can't say it.
Hauptstrasse.
Hauptstrasse.
Yeah.
Why? How come you guys didn't call me and tell me you're going over there? I would have loved to
Well, we
have gone
went
over
swimming first. Do you enjoy swimming?
Sometimes. Not, I don't... Not in 150 feet of salt water full of great white sharks and stuff like that.
The saltwater... No, I agree with you there. But the saltwater place was shut, actually, unfortunately. But yeah, we went to
Schönberg.
Stadtbad Schöneberg, yeah. It's a beautiful sort of place. And then on the way
It's
back...
gorgeous, that place. That spot.
Mim wanted to pay your homage, didn't you? So,
Well, we're in the area.
yeah. And the cafe just down the road.
Yeah. Neusulfa.
David Bowie stories. Okay, I don't want to. The wine is kicking in, so I don't mean to. I'm not trying to take over the mic or anything like that. But I was giving a tour a few weeks ago, a private tour to a couple of an older English couple, like maybe just a year older than me. So they were like 62, 63. They were old punk rockers from London, and I was giving them a Berlin rock and roll punk rock tour. Oh man, we understood each other just fine. We only needed about 10 minutes to start talking, telling each other, swapping stories. But when I was a little kid, like 15, 16, Steve Jones and Paul Cook from the Sex Pistols in San Francisco running around. Steve Jones threw a beer bottle at me. You know, now I said, "Oh, that seems kind of extreme, but it's actually kind of cool." You know, I got assaulted by a real live Sex Pistol. You know,
I played tambourine with the Sex Pistol before he was a Sex Pistol.
About it.
Which one? What? Glenn
Matlock.
You went to art school with him?
No, I didn't. But I went to the school next to his school.
What's
Yeah,
that?
I mean. I've just got this. I left school just before I was 16. I didn't stay on to do A-levels. But so I went to a girls' school. There was a thing in Britain called 11 plus. If you did well in your 11 plus, you went to go to a grammar school. And so I went to this girls' grammar school, which was next to the boys' grammar school. I went to a school called Burlington Girls' Grammar. And then
Burlington Girls' Grammar.
Yes, doesn't it sound posh? And I certainly wasn't. I wasn't at all. I was from the council estate next to the Scrubs. But the boys' school was St Clement Danes Boys' Grammar, right next to the Scrubs, though, right next to Wormwood Scrubs prison. And I'd still go to the kind of discos. They would have like Christmas parties, but I'd left school. But I remember going to a Christmas get together, the girls' school with the boys' school, and somewhat there was a band playing, and they wanted someone to play a tambourine. And I got up on stage, and it was Glenn Matlock when he was still at school.
Wow.
I just remember his really, really thick eyebrows. His really thick eyebrows.
Almost like
caterpillars.
almost like Keith Moon eyebrows. Yeah.
So I remember him from there, and then. When was it? 76, the Bill Grundy thing.
Right.
Happened on TV. I was then going out with a boy from Clement Danes Grammar School that I'd met at one of these events. And we were in a pub in Hammersmith. And in comes Glenn Matlock and came and sat with us. And it was like a week or two after the Bill Grundy TV event.
The Filth and the Fury.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I just remember, I can remember what I was wearing. I was thinking, oh God, it's that yeah. He was, I played tambourine with him like a year and a half
That's
ago.
amazing.
And then at the time I was thinking, I can remember what I was wearing because I really hoped that I looked, punk enough.
Yeah.
I remember I had blue overalls from a hardware shop.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I was wearing those.
That's a little bit like Bananarama, no?
Yeah,
They were years after, though.
Yeah,
weren't
but
they were a bit after.
Yeah.
But
They were mascots of the punk era.
So that's my Glenn Matlock story.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's neat.
He plays with Blondie now, doesn't he?
He plays with a bunch of people.
Lots of
Wasn't he
people.
also in Iggy's band? He's been he's been involved with all kinds of stuff.
I see stuff, because we're friends on Facebook, would
Yeah.
you believe? But he seems like a really nice chap, I would say. Actually. Yeah. So amazing, Mim. Wow.
Oh, I can say I played tambourine with the Sex Pistols.
That's also a T-shirt.
Before
I
he
think.
was one. Yeah.
So, if you don't mind me interjecting just
Yes,
real
of
quick.
course.
So back to David Bowie.
Please.
Rinus has got his finger up now.
So something that I wasn't fully aware of, but something that Nikki Sutton made me be aware of is that Bowie, very much like Mark Bolan, was completely dedicated to his fans. Who would he be without his fans? Yeah. Now, a classic example of this kind of rock star was, in fact, Mark Bolan, who spent all kinds of time talking to people. He would personally respond to letters, postcards. Nikki, I think even before the Swell Maps, was hanging around Mark Bolan's office, wherever the hell in London that was, and Mark Bolan would just walk up to the office, had his own keys, and there'd be 15, 16 kids hanging around outside, and he would sit there and talk to everybody. He'd make people tea. He would crumpets and jelly and all kinds of he was completely dedicated. And Nikki told me that Bolan told him, he goes, Nikki, if you ever get in a band, I will do everything I can to possibly help you out. And sure, and then the Swell Maps came out. Rough Trade. How many records did those guys sell? A ton. Okay, I don't know how instrumental Mark Bolan was in any of that. Okay, but I digress. So similarly, Bowie, living in L.A. for a while, Darby Crash, the Germs. Okay, Darby was completely inspired by Bowie, and at one point in time, they knew both where Iggy and Bowie were living, and one time they were able to ascertain Bowie's car, and Darby wrote some of his lyrics down. I think it was Ariel was the name of the song, and folded it up and with his phone number and his address under it, and put it under Bowie's windshield wiper.
Oh. Nice.
And about a week and a half later, son, there's a letter here for you from David Bowie. Son, who's Bowie? David Bowie, son. You got a letter here from David Bowie, right? David Bowie, and then David Bowie. Hey, read your lyrics. Neat stuff. Keep on. Totally great.
Encouraging.
Yeah, how encouraging. So that's kind of a neat story. That's kind of a fun story.
Yeah, great. Yeah, Rinus.
Yeah, great, Jason. Thank you.
No. I'm only saying.
Stop taking over the radio, Jason.
What would you expect?
More wine.
I can hear Rinus thinking.
I'm all right. I'm on the tea.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
What in the world is that, monsieur?
That was part of a.
There's a Thin Lizzy song.
Plan.
Whiskey in a jar.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, Rinus is handing me an envelope here.
Tape's coming in. Tape's coming in.
I'm fired.
It's yet
probably
to be
saying.
discovered.
Just before Christmas. Oh yeah, I should say what it says on the front. Katsuhiro. Oh no, God, I mustn't do that. Mustn't I make an? I'll read it in my normal language, my normal words,
normal voice,
lyrics. Kazuhiro Otsuka trial run tapes. They've sent us music before, haven't they?
Two times.
Twice, yeah. From Liabasha Ku. So from Japan to Kopassadam 9. Rinus, how many times have you moved? You're still there?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Okay. Yeah, so if people want to track down David Bowie and Iggy Pop and Roger Eno, for example, to their houses, now they can track Rinus down to his actual location and leave notes on his bicycle, on his tour bicycle.
That'd be neat.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm opening it. And it's tradition to smell the packet.
You know that one of my bicycles is on the Russian-Finnish border?
No way. How
Karelia?
are you going to get it back?
Karelia?
Never.
Oh, no. You were saying the other day that loads of bicycles have been stolen.
Yeah.
Sent to Africa? No.
No. They just commissioned a gang to go to get some bicycles
go
because
round.
they needed to bring African immigrants to the Finnish border, and that was, of course, the entrance to Europe. And they all arrived on a bicycle.
Nice.
And they couldn't enter the Finnish border because the Finns, they closed the border.
Right.
And then the Russians came to pick those Africans up in buses. And all those bicycles were there just piled up, just thrown down.
Including yours.
And, of course, how do you get so many bicycles if you need them? Being a Russian, you send someone to steal them. And that's how they just...
Not saying that all Russians steal bicycles, but...
They do.
Yeah.
Okay. And so they took my bicycle. I mean, if you want to... If you're a decent, self-respecting thief, you go for an e-bike. Because you make money with that and you don't steal my bike.
Yeah, but they've got GPSs that can attach to them and things like that. Yours has just got some fingerprints of yourself.
Yeah, and then you got the lousy €50 for
down, are they? Yeah.
And it's got a number on it.
Yep.
969.
Okay, so
if you see a bicycle with yellow background, black number, 969.
There you go.
I remember because you could read it from every direction. And,
Well, that was
my bicycle.
That's going out for Rinus's bicycle there. So.
Bike thieves are the worst, man. I mean, people get attached to bikes and skateboards and cars and stuff like that, and someone just
5 years, Jason.
absconding with your bicycle.
5 years,
it's just like
20,000 kilometers. That's halfway
horrible.
around the world.
That's horrible.
I mean, that's completely around the world because the rest is water. You won't go on your bicycle anyway. So, yeah.
No,
that's horrible.
Yeah, we all agree. We all agree on that one. Okay, this tape that I'm holding in my hand now that I just opened, maybe...
But maybe the thief is dead by now.
Okay. Why, was one of the spokes not...
Karma.
Karma. Ah, I thought you didn't believe in karma, Rinus.
For other people, yes.
Yep. Okay.
In certain cases, I do.
Okay. I am not laughing or chortling or anything else. Trial Run 2. I guess we played Trial Run 1 before. Produced and edited by Trial Run 1984. Whoa. This is from 1984, this tape.
I'm curious to hear that.
Whoa. It's taken so long to get here.
What? Yeah.
It's just arrived. What's the state on the date on the state?
That's why it arrived later, because the other one was from 1989, if I remember right.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that seemed like, but 1984 is the name of...
That's a bigger loop,
something that, should be a book. Okay. Freddy Land, it says on it, and there's three images of some kind of creatures.
Is that the brand of the tape?
Penguins. Is it? No, I think, well, it's on both sides. Yeah, of course it would be, even if it was something else.
It's not a Sony, it's a Freddy Land?
Freddy Land, yeah. There you go. Look, I'm handing it over to Rinus there. It's going into the
I'm so happy.
Cassette machine.
Yeah.
And
that's actually the...
Maybe, Mim, can you tell me what the smell of Japan is from that envelope?
Mickey. Okay, Freddy Land.
They came from Japan.
Smell.
So
a little bit like chrysanthemums.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's a film, isn't there?
Tape.
Beautiful film.
You sent it from a funeral.
From Japan. About a chrysanthemum, but in Japanese, I can't remember what it is. Or is it daisies? Chrysanthemums, it reminds me. We will return with that. But
that's what you get outside the graveyard.
Hmm.
Okay.
What chrysanthemums?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Here goes.
Oh.
Trial tapes. Trial run 2. Trial run 2.
I'm a fan.
You're a fan of, and
completely.
Mim, you were just saying what it sounds like?
Oh, like muddy boots or boots squelching in maybe 3 inches of very tacky mud.
Mm.
And then some quite wild wind blowing through some electronic wind chimes, something in the trees. I don't know, something to a distance. I got something up there, up high, and then something below the feet going on.
That reminds me of a series that I used to watch, and it was Japanese, about a guy during the Japanese-Chinese War in Manchuria.
In the 30s, yeah.
And that guy, he was not walking through muddy puddles or whatever, but through snow. And the only thing I can remember from that series is one tiny black figure and a lot of white, because it was black and white television. I was so impressed. And only by that guy walking in the snow and was freezing cold, and I guess he tried to get home. It's a certain kind of lassie in Second World War Japanese. Yeah, okay, your turn.
Pointing to Jason.
Yeah.
That reminds me of something I was looking at this morning when I was just waking up before I went to work. I was scrolling through my feed, and all of a sudden there these different historical groups I belong to. What's his name? The guy who did Lord of the Rings, the New Zealand Peter Russell.
I thought it was Tolkien.
Name? Peter Russell.
Yeah,
what's the name of the director who did Lord of the Rings and this, that, and the other thing?
Peter. Yeah. Is it
right? Well, he got a hold of a whole bunch of British World War I footage that he then colorized and edited. Right. And it's from 1916, 1917. These young English boys like stomping through the mud in Belgium. And, they don't, most of them probably had never seen a movie camera in their life. And how they're stopping and just like gawking at this fact that what does this person have attached to its head, and why is it pointed at me? And these guys just literally like looking at it and scratching their heads. It was really amazing to look at. But the sound editing was fantastic because they had all the earth sounds that, like you just mentioned, the squishy boots and all that sound, and then some English guy in the back going yelling, and everyone's howling at each other, and
cut.
Yeah.
Anyway, just
the crossing of the Berezina, if it was a Berezina. The river in Zerkala Mirrors by Tarkovsky.
Yes.
He did some footage in it as well. And there I understood how he worked. Because he showed the river, and the river had a certain pace, and it was very slow. Yeah. And I thought, that's the same thing what your camera does all the time. So maybe that's why he chose it. And all these horses and soldiers just falling over each other. Yeah, I never understood that movie, and now every now and then I see it announced, and it's about something I forgot.
I thought it was like more an autobiography.
Yeah, it is something, but to me it's just images and something breaking through the ceiling, and a woman just moving with her hands and her hair in slow motion, and there was also a miracle attached to that kind of miracle, because he wanted that certain location, and he wanted a field with flowering buckwheat, and the farmers in the neighborhood said, no, impossible, that will never happen, that won't grow here, and it happened.
Yeah.
Talking about movies, and you always kill a conversation. Shall we?
No, I'm picturing the buckwheat.
Let's another tape.
Oh dear, do you want a sip of my cup of tea? Don't flob
tea
in
will
it.
sort everything out. Don't flob. I haven't heard that for a long time.
That'd be a name of a band, couldn't it?
The
Flob.
Flobbers.
Yeah.
Flob number 1.
Flobbo and the Flobs.
Rinus, this is addressed again to your address in Cottbus here in Berlin. Loads of stamps on the front.
I don't trust your
my address.
Your postbox.
My postbox?
Yeah.
In what sense? Oh yeah, we shouldn't get things posted to the one downstairs. Well, things do arrive there, but I don't know. How would you know if something was lost?
Yes.
How do you know?
Because somebody sent it.
Yeah. And you don't receive it. Yeah.
Right.
That's the definition of being lost. I just want to quickly go back to Tarkovsky, because when we first arrived in St. Petersburg many years ago to do a performance and stuff like that, I remember looking at the lake, not the lake, but I don't know what it's called.
The river is the Neva.
Right. Yeah. Fantastic.
Lake Ladoga is up
The
above
river
St.
Neva.
Petersburg.
Ah.
Lake Ladoga is right there, or to the northwest.
But looking at the way the pond, it was pondweed moving really slowly, and instantly I could see where this kind of sense in, I think it was in Stalker or one of the other films, it was so poetic. Like being in St. Petersburg was everything about it was poetry. It seemed.
I've been there in winter and in summer, and the river, the Neva, freezes over. And they got the gold statues around the Hermitage.
I've only been there in winter. I've never been to St. Petersburg in the summer. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
The endless.
The White Nights, it's called.
Right.
Yeah, White Nights. The sun would go down. Sunset would be about midnight, midnight, and then 2:30 in the morning.
It's already back up.
Yeah, it never got nighttime. It was just like twilight.
I've experienced that in Finland.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And going across the forest as well, because I think we went from Helsinki to St. Petersburg by train.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
So it took about 8 hours, as far as I remember. But and then the Russian guards coming in and checking everything out and stuff, because we had loads of equipment, and wondering what was going to happen, because we'd heard other artists had their material or their artworks sent to Moscow, and it hadn't appeared at this place. So,
but I wouldn't rely on those people for anything.
Yeah, when I lived in Leningrad for about six
yes,
weeks, and
yes,
I had to disguise myself. Yeah, I can remember Anton saying, in Russia you must be invisible, and I had to wear just quite dowdy clothes and not look at anyone. Just
that's Anton
so I could get
Adasinsky
around.
From
Why
the
that?
dance company.
Just so it was 1990, and it was a bit of a difficult time, and people would have just asked me for, I don't know, just to not get black marketeers approaching me.
Figuring out some way they could hustle you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to keep my passport on me for ID if I was stopped, but that would have been a really valuable thing to have had. So just to be able to move around the city without anyone bothering me.
I do remember coming out of a deli in St. Petersburg, and my friends were inside, or the people that I was working with and stuff, and this I came out before them, and this Russian policeman came up to me and asked me for my passport. And he was drunk, and he was holding a bag with, I guess, vodka or whatever it was in it, but he was really drunk, and I gave him my passport, and he was looking for my visa, and he couldn't find it, and I had alarm bells in my head going, and I thought, when my friends come out, and they came out, and then they started walking away, and it was like, I've got one moment here to grab my passport
and run for
and then
it.
just turn and not look back, and that's what I did.
Yeah.
So I remember that. We got pretty crazy.
So was it because you looked different that he stopped you? You didn't look like a Russian person.
I think I probably shouldn't have tried striking up a conversation with him.
Oh, okay.
Or something like that, I think. Anyway, while I'm opening the envelope, then you have something.
Well, I think Jason was going to say something.
No, it's a similar thing. I was in St. Petersburg. A drunken cop walked up to me, didn't ask to see my passport, but could tell that I wasn't Russian. I told him I was American. He plugged my nose and tried to pour vodka down my throat.
That's it. Now I remember. This guy wanted me to drink with him.
Absolutely ridiculous.
He thought I was Scottish, and there was football, and he was talking about football, blah, 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 all this sort of stuff. Oh, English. Oh, no, Scottish. Oh, how about this? I had no idea what he was saying, and then, and then it all went horribly wrong. And then you have to just run, or just turn around, not look back.
Okay, are we going to listen to the tape?
Well, when I've opened it, I'm opening it, but I'm hoping it's not tearing open some kind of incredible artwork that someone's
it's so
been
neat
working
that you actually
on.
get all these tapes submitted. That's fantastic.
We send them to ourselves, don't we?
But it's amazing. You don't open them until this very moment.
Just ripped off the address where it was from, actually. Uruguay. It's from Uruguay.
This is from Uruguay.
Yep.
What?
I'm going to smell the smell of Uruguay.
Japan, Uruguay, and somewhere in the United States.
Yep. Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is really neat.
So opening up, and there is a CD inside, and it's Corvis Krasny 2.0. Not sure who. Oh, and there's a spaceman on front, and it's dedicated to Valentina Tereshkova. Tereshkova.
And
So
who is
there's
she?
the Russian connection. There's a star above it, so it must be a cosmonaut.
Oh, maybe the first female cosmonaut.
Oh, wow.
Jason, your department?
Yeah, maybe Rinus, you can go into great detail about this.
What's happening now? A
While I'm
cosmonaut?
pulling the
This
scene.
Valentina Tereshkova, is that the first female? Yeah, of
There
course.
it is.
There she is.
And there's a sticker.
wow.
There's
She's
a
on the
sticker
back side. Hey,
Yes. Yes.
that's her.
The reverse. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's the wife of.
Yuri Gagarin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. Well, very good.
Yeah.
An amazing image.
Oh, and we usually forget
So they're both 150, 6 foot,
there is something in
5
here.
foot.
Probably says Dear Rinus.
Yeah.
Oh, it's empty. It's an empty. Maybe it has invisible ink on it.
We
or
have to
something
write
like
it.
that.
Yeah,
Maybe
get a
it's got a
candle.
smell on it.
Someone has a lemon.
Let's have a sniff.
Okay.
Exactly.
Them smells.
So the blank piece of folded paper. Oh,
Oh, you can read it, Mim. Come on.
I don't know. It's got a kind of smile. I'm looking at it because it's been folded. It's got kind of a sad smile.
Oh,
Ooh.
well, let's take a photo of that for our.
Well, also,
listeners.
yeah.
Mim showing up.
I see underwear.
Mim's covering her entire face by a blank piece of paper. Okay, yes, it does look like a smile, doesn't it? Maybe you can poke
An
holes
upside
to
down
get
smile.
the eyes. Mim.
Or if I turn it that way, it's all about perspective.
It is. Nice. Okay, you can't see this in Radioland, but
No.
but we can see it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, look at that. So the CD. Oh, what did I
smells
just-
nice.
I'm just going to put the CD in.
Smells of Uruguay, where there's free hashies, not free weed.
I don't know about that, but
Yeah, it's legalized.
nice.
I think it's one of the first countries where they legalized it.
medical. For
No,
medical use?
no. Recreational.
Maybe you can ask Jason what can you smell in there, Jason? You can always do this, sort of throw up an invisible ball and then do the trick of, if you throw me a ball, Jason, can you
Throw you away.
Yeah,
throw
like,
me
here we go. I'll
an
do it.
invisible
Ready?
ball?
Here it comes.
Just bounce it off the.
there you go.
there. So Morecambe and Wise tricked
Thank you.
that one when I first saw it on Christmas TV.
The paper smells a little bit like a very mild aftershave.
Ah,
Oh,
Kinda
impossible.
nutty.
They both have beards. Or maybe,
I'm looking to see if there's a bit of beard hair.
or maybe they go from, oh, I don't use this anymore, so let's sprinkle this on our letters.
That's nice.
okay.
I imagine it smells like their shirt collar.
Mm.
That's what, if they wear shirts.
This to me smells like air.
Uruguayan.
Smell of air.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we've got
Pretty
a
nondescript.
signed CD. And wait a minute, it's written. The letter is written
down,
on
Rinus,
the
calm down.
CD.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah, we sell this now. Oh,
Yeah, we can auction it off.
dear Rinus and friends, that's you.
All of us.
We hope you there in Radio On will find enjoyable and a bit experimental enough to your taste. Warm greetings from Uruguay, Guillermo and Alvaro.
Wow.
And Guillermo has his own picture signed Guillermo, and Alvaro has his own picture signed Alvaro.
Nice.
What do you think about that? Come on,
I'm curious what it sounds like.
Adrian,
Wonderful.
look at
It's
that.
signed, yeah.
I thought it was part of the design.
No, that's signed.
Huh?
They're signed limited edition
One.
copies. Okay, so we should play this, really, shouldn't we?
Right.
Because our audience are on the edge of their seats, wondering what's going to come through the CD player if it works. Let's see. You can do it.
Hola, ¿qué tal a todos? Bienvenidos. En el programa de hoy tenemos un dúo uruguayo que está presentando su disco debut, Krasny. Es una mezcla de música electrónica instrumental con la estética soviética de la Guerra Fría y un sonido que ellos mismos definen como brutalismo artesanal. Soy Ruth y ellos son Corvis.
You're listening to Radio On with our guests, Mim King, Jason Oni, and Rinus, and myself.
Well, we should tell them who they were listening to. Corvis, this is Corvis. Corvis. Sounds like somebody name in Holland.
Corvis.
Cor, like Cornelius, and vis, like fish. So it's people are called like that, and then they stand on the market and sell flowers. And the title of the CD is Krasny 20, and Krasny means
Krasny? I don't know. What is
beautiful. Okay.
How would I know that?
How did you know that, Rinus?
Well, you all been to St. Petersburg, and you don't know what Krasny is. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't speak much Russian though. Activar.
We've got the safety. You see, we have the safety dance people there.
Oh yeah, we have.
It's almost the same music, no? They should be friends.
Yeah, except it's not the safety dance. But yeah, this kind of sequenced rhythmic.
One of the founders of that band sent us a CD.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, that's how famous we are in Toronto.
You can dance if you want to.
Yeah.
In our own lunchtime.
Oh, that song's so irritating.
But Rinus, you said you would not want to go to space. You wouldn't want to be a cosmonaut or...
No.
You're saying how proud you would be for...
I mean, I even don't travel second class because it's just I get claustrophobic in it.
Talking about bicycles.
So being in a space that's just a little bit bigger than myself, and go so far away, and knowing that if something happens to me, like having a panic attack when I want to get out, you can't get out, you die.
Sure. Yeah, but you have all that training and everything. Surely you go round and round.
That's why I fail. But
sure.
They point me out and I say, "For you go into space," and I say, "No, I fail," and then you go.
Oh, now I can't remember the name of this Russian
writer. They bury you alive,
Pelly,
and that might be part of the training program.
Someone. There's a Russian writer that wrote a story about training kids to go up into space, but there's no money for the Russian space star city and all this, so they go. What do? They break the legs of all the students first, and then they have to go around with wheels on or something. And Peligan.
Beg your pardon?
He's a Russian sci-fi writer. Name escapes me. But that's a segue to Jason, your dad. Tell us all about your dad.
By the way, would part of the training of going into space is just jump on a trampoline?
Yeah, first. Yeah, that's the first day.
As a kid, no.
That's the first day.
And if you stay up really long, then you've got talent.
I guess so. Yeah. Guess so. But don't they start off with as test pilots and things like that? All these, Jason, no idea. Your dad, Jason, wasn't he? There's an Apollo connection.
Yeah, my dad was took part in both the Apollo 11 and 12 recovery missions.
Wow.
That means I'm less sure about Apollo 12, but I know for a fact Apollo 11, he was chief of the crew that hoisted the module out of the Pacific and planted it on the deck of the USS Hornet.
Wow.
And then the funny story I always tell is that they were water blasting the module, and all of that gold foil that was in place to help prevent the module from burning up when it re-entered
when it comes through the atmosphere.
When it comes through the atmosphere, right? So they were blasting all that stuff off, and that gold foil was lying around all over it. My dad just went,
I'll have that.
took it, and stuffed it and put it in an envelope and sent it to my mom.
Wow.
Okay.
Amazing.
Yeah. Well, quite a few years later, my mom died.
Oh.
Okay.
I was radioactive.
We were going through her estate, so to speak. And my dad said, by the way, everyone, there's a letter addressed to her from me. And in it is the gold foil from the module from Apollo 11. So if you find it, don't just throw stuff away.
Wow.
Look through every envelope, right? Yeah. And then after about 2 or 3 days, we weren't finding it. And my dad was like, she could see his molars starting to grind. He was like, we're going to have a fucking seance. Where's that goddamn envelope?
So anyway, she always kept it in the envelope?
Well, it was never recovered. Who knows whatever happened to it?
Oh, wow.
Who knows whatever happened to it?
Wow.
Where it went to.
Right. But anyway, he just said that he can distinctly remember seeing it wasn't like a comet, it wasn't like a meteor or something, but just all of a sudden, and then seeing this module way up there slowly swing its way down to Earth.
Wow.
You know?
Oh, because it had parachutes.
3 parachutes attached to it.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
So think about all the myriad of things that could have gone wrong with any of those missions.
Yeah.
And yet it all happened to fucking...
And in the right place where they could get to
Talk about some micro-organization, huh? Some micromanaging and figuring things out and making sure. Yeah. You know? And then he also remembers, too, seeing that when they hoisted the module out of the Pacific and planted it on the deck of the Hornet, seeing, Aldrin and John Glenn just like fucking waving like crazy at the guys and stuff like that. Yeah, he said it really made his hair stand up.
Wow! Because they wouldn't have seen another human for a while,
right? But those are the first people who ever went to the moon. As far as we know, the first people who ever went to the moon. Yeah. One thing that I think is kind of neat is that Neil Armstrong and John Glenn actually landed on the surface of the moon, right?
Yeah.
But the only person who didn't land on the moon, the first batch of humans to go up there, is the only person, even though he didn't land on the moon, but is the only person in world history, the first person ever in world history, who actually saw the dark side of the moon. Because when those guys were on the surface, the module was orbiting the moon the entire time. So I think but Aldrin was in the module.
Yeah.
At the controls the entire time when those guys were down there conducting their experiments, gathering rocks and whatever those guys did,
taking photos,
leaving footprints,
all over,
flags.
But he actually saw the dark side of the moon. I think that's pretty amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, he actually saw it. He actually saw it. So that's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. You can say, okay, I didn't get to walk on the moon, but I saw the dark side of the moon.
I wonder what he saw if it was dark. How much of it he could see.
Good question.
I think it's been documented. I think it's been filmed, photos taken of it. Yeah, he was the entire time. They were documenting everything. Did you guys see that special that came out about 12, 15 years ago about the Apollo 11 mission, in which they just basically documented the preparations for it, what life was like on board in that little control compartment when those guys were in the rocket. They had the cassette tape that they were always listening to with the country music on it and stuff like that.
Yes,
that was really amazing. And all the footage of the different parts of the rocket being jettisoned as that thing, and then that stretch that they flew from way out of Earth's atmosphere all the way to the moon. And then getting there, So every once in a while, I still encounter young people who say, "Well, it's impossible that human beings went to the moon." I said, "Okay, well, I see why you might think it's impossible that people actually landed on the moon, but do you know how many countries have actually sent stuff to the moon? Have sent stuff to the moon? Iran has sent stuff to the moon. China has sent stuff to the moon.
Is there a post office on
Pakistan has sent stuff to the moon. All these people have sent stuff to the moon. And they've all, in fact, didn't recently the Chinese just orbited the moon a bunch of times?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Maybe they didn't land on it, but
they went a few times.
They went a few times, right?
Not just once.
Right.
Yeah, so if you're all you youngsters out there,
Apollo 11, Apollo 12, and was it Apollo 13 or 14? That car, that funky little
cars on the moon,
the moon buggy,
the moon buggy.
There'll be e-scooters on the moon next. Before you know it.
But I've spoken to people because I'm in this tour business. I constantly talk to people. I meet people from all over the world, right? And anymore, you don't so much meet older people, but every once in a while you meet an older person, and I'll always get a tap on my shoulder saying, "Oh, are you really American?" I said, "Yeah, I'm really American." They said, "Oh, I can remember in high school in Russia, or I can remember in high school in Israel, or I can remember in high school in Iran, or I can remember something like that." And they actually stopped school for the day, and they took us into the auditorium. And on TV, we watched the moon landing. Yeah. Everyone watched it.
Go on, Mim, go on.
Yeah, I can remember at school, we had these big, they were like TV sets in a wooden box on long wheels, and they were wheeled into the classroom. And I can also remember going to bed and my dad coming and waking me up and letting me go downstairs to see the moon landing.
I remember exactly the same thing. How old were you, Mim? 6, 7?
I think a bit older, maybe 10, 9 or 10.
Because I was 2. It was
1969.
I'm 8 years older than you.
1969.
And I remember them, they had a black and white TV, and
I was 9.
I have a vague memory of my dad. I mean, they said that they brought us down, and we had to watch these guys landing on this or walking around and stuff. Yeah, waving to us with strings attached to them.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Or was that another program? But it was in the middle of the night.
Yeah. It was then. Okay.
Earliest memory, I think.
I remember it being really exciting. I thought maybe I was dreaming it.
Yep. Then I pooed my nappy.
By the way,
Rinus, back to
no. Just like Guillermo and Alvaro, this was still the review of your of your CD.
It is, yes.
Continue.
It's connected. I also want to. I've just looked up, and it was Victor Pelevin. Look him up, folks out there. He's a Russian author of science fiction. Lesser known, but a mutual friend of ours, Anya Zenitsnikova. I was in a dance piece with her, and it was based on this book that he made called Omon Ra, and that was the one about these Russian sort of cosmonauts that never went to space, but they were kind of using them and abusing them, I guess. The terror of it all, as Rinus can only imagine.
Yeah.
Do you know how cosmonauts and astronauts breathe, where they get their oxygen from?
Good question.
Cans?
Was that cans? Oxygen cans?
That's what I had thought. It was all there in loads of cylinders and stuff.
Sure.
But I got really wondering, because one cosmonaut was up there beyond a year, wasn't he?
Right.
Over 365 days. And I was thinking, well, how do they know they've got enough oxygen? Okay, and just the thing of not having fresh air coming in.
Like this room.
Yeah. So if you can imagine recycling every bit of water that we're drinking. That's what they do. They recycle all the fluids.
And
So
they extract the oxygen.
They a process called electrolysis, where they're I'm sorry, I don't need to say we, but I just say it again.
You did. She
Water,
said it.
coffee, everything, all those fluids are recycled. A process of electrolysis then separates the oxygen and the hydrogen, and that's where they get their oxygen from. Recycled water.
Okay.
And all the water up there is all the water, like all the water in the world is all the water there ever was. So any water up there in the ISS is the water from their bodies, and there you go.
Wow.
So
Did it come back?
Did he come back?
Yeah.
He came back.
No, but also the oxygen. Is there like a valve on that thing, so that every now and then there's a...
Well, what they do, the methane they let out, there's a valve that lets out methane gas.
Wow. So the Earth lost weight?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, because
By
some
a
of
bit.
that water.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but with comets and no, not the comets.
You think?
Hit Earth not very often, but yeah, that's... Yeah.
So for everything they send
Water.
out, we get something back?
Supposed to have come from space. Maybe they're like the postal workers of space.
Yeah.
Sending...
But like all that oxygen in there would then come back, and all the water in their body would then come back. So
they should sell it
There we
like
go.
pieces of the Berlin Wall.
Oh,
Recycled oxygen from space.
Can I please just read this really quickly? It's just about...
Is it Pavalin?
Victor Pelevin's short science fiction novel, Omon Ra, a satirical take on the now obsolete Soviet space program, following a young man with dreams of becoming an astronaut who realizes that the training is not what he expected it to be. Amazing. Yes. Again. Like everything
Quite
else in this
disappointing.
show... Well, it was he was disappointed, yeah.
No disinformation.
Is it? Oh,
I
you want to
thought
go further?
Yeah, it's just
but that's
something
kind
like
of a
more-
taster, isn't it?
okay,
Or you want to
yeah.
make it a bit more exciting?
Yeah.
As a teenager, Omon Ra has an epiphany. He decides there is only one way to break free of Soviet Russia, and that is by leaving the planet. Not wanting to live on Earth anymore, he declares that he will be an astronaut. His parents don't take him seriously at first, but this doesn't deter him. Yeah, something like that.
That's him
Yeah,
becoming
kind
an astronaut.
An astronaut.
An astronaut.
Yes, or one of those things. Did you? When I was a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't understand evolution, so I also wanted to become a gorilla as well. I didn't know how you grew up. I thought you just suddenly turned into things. and stuff.
You wanted to be a gorilla when you were a kid?
Yeah.
What, you thought you could grow
Well, I
into
thought
one?
I could grow into another animal or something like that.
Do you guys recall, I think you had it in Europe as well too, but there used to be a magazine for kids that the National Geographic Society used to publish. It was called World. Do you guys remember World?
No,
And the
no.
poster kid for World, like between 1973 and 1970, or between 1972 and 1975, was this albino gorilla. This young gorilla.
Oh.
A male or a female, not even juvenile, just like this really young albino gorilla. And I can't remember the name of this gorilla, but man, he or she was posted everywhere. Posters, T-shirts, came up again and again and again in instruction in school and stuff like that. Anyway, so I thought maybe you wanted to become an albino gorilla, Julian.
If I went back in time, then maybe.
Hmm.
I don't know. What did you want to be when you were young, Jace?
I don't know if I really wanted to be anything.
I mean, like really young. Talking about like 1 year old.
I don't know. I remember not really wanting to have anything. I remember looking at my parents and kind of saying, "Okay, so this is it. You get to be like older, and then you just sit in this box of wood, and like this is the future. This is
oh wow,
really? That's it. That's it." And I remember one time in 8th grade. One of the parents at this private school that I went to was associated with this young CEO, Silicon Valley, and this guy picked us up and took us over to his facility building and basically showed us what it was he was doing in the Silicon Valley, and like, kids, this is what the future can really be like. You guys can make this shit happen. And I remember just thinking, really, that's it? We wear like these stupid clothes and like sit in his office and like tell people what to do as they push around papers and just do these quasi-important things. Really, that's it? I thought it was neat that my dad was a pilot. I think it was neat that my father spent time at sea. I thought that was totally neat. But everybody else just trying to make a fast buck in the Silicon Valley, nothing about that seemed interesting to me. You know? And my mom would badger me and say, well, what are you going to do? Are you just going to be... Do you just want to be a shoe salesman?
Okay.
Do you just want to work in a supermarket your entire life? Or why don't you become a CEO? Why don't you wear a suit and sit behind a desk and do that? I was like, well, I don't like any of those choices. I don't like any of those choices. I don't know what I wanted to be. I never even really thought about it. I just like being with my friends. I like being outdoors. I like being in the hills. I like being on the beach. I like that. Yeah.
So a beach boy then?
I don't know if it's a beach boy. But now at age 60, I mean, I think it's kind of cool that you see people out and about working, doing things that are contributing to the grander good of this society that, you know, I think that's admirable. I think people who do all the little work.
But they'll be replaced.
Dare I say the shit work, you know?
By robots.
Making sure the streets are clean and...
Sure. Yeah. They're hard jobs to get as well.
Mm-hmm.
Mim, what was your... Any
what I wanted to...
aspirations?
I can remember going to this grammar school and having to have an interview with the headmistress and her asking that very question.
Well, imagine I'm that headmistress now. And Miriam King, can you tell us anything that you fancy doing in the future?
A fashion designer. And I clearly remember saying a fashion designer. And then she said, okay, what will the fashion be in 5 years' time? And it links to what we've been talking about. This would have been 1970. And I said, silver all-in-one spacesuit.
Nice.
But not like a proper spacesuit. But
Gary Glitter. You predicted Gary Glitter.
I did. I predicted Gary Glitter. But I can remember thinking like a silver lame zip-up all-in-one shiny suit. That would be the fashion in 1975. I met Gary Glitter in about 1974.
I hope from a distance.
No, got his autograph. And Jimmy Savile.
Right, wow.
Really?
You weren't on Jim will fix it.
No, Top of the Pops.
You were on Top of the Pops,
yeah. Because the other thing in the area, I grew up on a council estate by Wormwood Scrubs Prison, but not far, just further up the road round the corner was the BBC TV studios, where Doctor Who would have been filmed. Well, some of that was done at Riverside Studios, but Top of the Pops was filmed there. So I'd go to Top of the Pops.
Could you just
Then you
go
stand in a line at the studio?
No. So how I got in...
Loads of questions.
My school friend Susan, her dad, Harry, he was a painter and decorator, like literally someone who painted walls. Yeah, he got a job in the BBC painting the sets.
Right.
So he had a pass, BBC pass. So we would go on his pass with me and Susan and Susan's mum, and we'd hang out in the green room.
Wow.
At Top of the Pops, and if the right doorman was on the door to the actual studios, we'd get in the building with this pass, but if the right person was on the door to the studio, we'd get in. So, and of course I wanted to see David Bowie, never saw him, but Johnny Osmond,
really? Wow.
Wasn't interested.
No.
Alice Cooper.
Oh yeah.
Did meet Alice Cooper. It was glitter rock time, so Slade.
Sure.
Sweet.
Cooper.
Alice Cooper, Mud, 10cc,
Uriah Heep,
Gary Glitter.
stuff like that?
No, Wizard. I remember. Anyway, yeah. So, there we go.
Glitter rock.
How do we go to that? What do I want to be?
We were talking about Gary Glitter. My brother delivered flowers to Gary Glitter once, apparently.
That you can put on your CV.
Now, hold on. What happened to Gary Glitter? Gary Glitter got busted for pedophilia, right?
Yeah.
They beheaded him in Thailand or what?
Was he beheaded in Thailand? Was he
or maybe in Vietnam?
I don't think so. But let's move quickly on to...
But he's in prison
other
in
subjects.
one of those places, right?
Yeah, you've seen Deer Hunter?
Squeak like a pig. How like
No,
a pig.
no,
How like a pig.
That's another one. That's a Deliverance. But,
That's dueling banjos. That's something else, not dueling drums, because that was his thing, wasn't it? So anyway, we're going round in circle. But we have another cassette.
No.
We have nothing else. Whoa.
Oh, maybe we have.
I'm sure there's a pile there.
So everything's exploding, or something came out of the cassette tape. This is how
Take your
started, isn't it?
Take your pen and paper out.
Okay.
But did you ever meet Mark
Take your
Bolan?
pen and paper out.
What's that?
Did you ever meet Mark Bolan?
That's
His mum.
bandcamp.com/yum.
His mum worked in the same building. as my dad was.
ESV2-K559.
Okay, there you go.
Wow.
I love Mark Bolan.
Oh, it's wonderful.
So we'll have subtitles.
You know,
this show.
he's responsible for so much stuff.
Talking about Mark Bolan here in corner.
Oh yeah, Mark
Ma
Bolan.
Bolan. That's
Mark
a
Bolan.
Boney M song.
No, that's Rasputin.
No.
Okay.
No, Mark
Close.
Bolan. He
Oh,
was
God,
my first pin-up.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
What?
Right on, Ride a White Swan.
Golden Belt. The Golden Belt. I love the Golden Belt. I love it. Do you know that song, Golden Belt? I don't know if that's one of his more fringier ones. Wow, it's absolutely gorgeous. And Steve Took?
Yes.
Yeah, Peregrine
Yes.
Took. Steve. Yeah.
Yes.
What was that weird band called that he had?
Name that band.
Right. Steve Took had a side band aside from
Yeah.
Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah.
And you're right. I forget right now.
The Steve Took Troop. Steve Took.
Steve Peregrine Took.
Steve took.
Gnarly
Finn.
Tooth.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Gnarly
That's
Tooth
familiar.
or something like something Tooth. Spooky Tooth.
Spooky Tooth.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, I used to, I was going to say model, no, but I used to babysit for friends of my parents' kids on the moors and stuff like that. And I would always leaf through their records, and it was always like Crosby, Stills and Nash and what else? I don't know, what was the one about On the Tyne? On the Tyne, my friend.
Fairport Convention.
Fairport Convention.
It's not Fog on the Tyne. It's not Fairport.
No, Fog on the Tyne. Yeah.
Is it Fairport Convention?
I don't know.
No,
I don't
it's
think so. No.
Again, name that band.
Oh no. Terrible. If there was only some kind of global system where you could just instantly look things up instead of looking at encyclopedias.
It's on the tip of my tongue.
It's hard. Yeah, it's going to come.
Talking about this stuff reminds me of being Nicky Garrett's roommate in San Francisco. Nicky Garrett was this British punk rock guitarist who did very well for himself really early on. But
Lindisfarne.
Lindisfarne.
I hated these records, but then years later I got into them. Anyway, that story.
It wasn't so much Fairport Convention. It wasn't this stuff, but it was more like Steel Eye Span. Pentangle. All of this. We were just getting Gentle Giant. We were just getting bombarded by all this stuff. And I appreciated the fact that someone was showing me the music. I love the idea of the music. I love the idea of the bands and the stories of the personalities and stuff like that. But when you would sit there and actually have to listen to the music, you would go, okay, all right. Yeah.
Rinus, you got your fingers on something there.
You got your finger on the button.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right.
There it is.
Radio on throughout the morning. What?
I just tell that was a little segment, and don't ask me the title, but it is from a remix. How do you tell?
Rinus puts his glasses on.
How do you tell people what a remix order sent out by Tsi from the label Night on Earth? And he asked his friends to remix one track of one of the releases that he did. And
yes.
Yeah. So it's all computer written on the inside of a cassette tape. And the ink leaked a little bit out, so it's just figures. And maybe it's also scripture, but that's for the initiated.
Very nice.
Okay, and the thing is called Your Ego Trip Nightmare. 20 years of Night on Earth.
Okay, that sounds like a very good roundup for this Christmas and New Year. Quickly, what's everyone got planned for their Christmases and New Years?
Well, actually, I wanted to ask
Resting?
Well, resting, certainly. I do have to actually work Christmas Day, but what do you have planned for Christmas? Because Gabby and I and a bunch of people were talking about making some food.
Well,
that's your chance. Jump on it.
That's another story for another time. But, however, We are heading to the disunited kingdom for Christmas with the family. Me and my daughter, my beautiful daughter.
What you go to England a lot, man. What does it cost to fly from Berlin to?
For you, Jason.
Not for me. I'm asking just in general.
You can fit inside my suitcase. I can fold you up.
I have a suitcase for your daughter.
Do you fly to Gatwick or somewhere? Gatwick's cheaper to fly into.
We
right?
go to Bristol to get to Plymouth. To the southwest, and then take a 3.5-hour bus journey, and then a coach and horses, would you believe? Then we both have to get on. Then we both have
penny
to get
farthing.
on. Exactly.
With a
Maya on the
sidecar.
back. Yes, and then a car, and then walking, and then etc. So yeah.
A 3.5-hour long bus ride.
That's true. Yeah, my daughter, when she was younger, did projectile vomit all over me. Twice. The first time I took her on that journey, Christmas journey. How Christmassy is that? Yep.
Wow.
Doesn't do that anymore, but I always carry a plastic bag just in case. Because the roads of Devon go up and down and up and round and all around. And Mim, Christmas, New Year.
What? Where am I going to be?
Any plan? Where are you going to be?
I will
Brighton?
be
Worthing?
Findon Valley with my daughter.
Great.
Her family, yeah. I'm a granny.
Of China.
My
will be
China
incredible.
girl, yeah. I don't know New Year.
I don't know
Really?
either. Oh, we're coming back to
You'll be
Berlin on
back
New Year's
here,
Eve.
won't you?
Very late, yeah.
So it's 2 weeks, isn't it? 2 weeks it'll be New Year.
And Berlin can be pretty crazy in the New Year with lots of fireworks and various weaponry.
Yeah, I think they will set cars on fire on the Sonnenallee, no?
Is that what you're doing for New Year then, Rinus?
No, I might open the window and listen to it, but Little Gaza might be located somewhere between Sonnenallee and Karl Marx.
Right. Okay, that's something to look forward to anyway. And we wish peace and joy and happiness to everyone on planet Earth, of course, and beyond. Any last words?
I'm fine. Hope you guys enjoyed.
So many stories. I shouldn't say too many stories. So many stories. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for listening. Again, if you want to join Radio On at any time, it's www.radioonberlin.com.
One last thing.
There's always one last thing.
We do my last thing. Yeah. We don't have any listeners anyway, but if you are a listener, we are slowly running out of tapes that in an envelope that we can review. So send in, and as you've heard this evening, we just play everything, which is not a disqualifier of what you send in, because we like everything.
Thanks for joining us, and this podcast will go out to all your major podcast platforms. Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Mim King in the corner there.
Yeah.
Jason
Good night.
Oney.
Thanks, you guys. Have a good
Rinus
night.
Van Alebeek and myself,
Sweet
Adrian
dreams.
Shephard. Thank you, and good night.
Wow. Baby. More music, more music, more music, more music.
I had such scary dreams last night.
Oh,
really?
Leave it on that.
Come, we are going back on air.
Good night.
You have been listening to Radio on Berlin. Yeah!
That was great. That was super.
Yeah.
That was non-stop, like 2 hours. What a team.
Apollo 11, David Bowie,
Yeah.
Wormwood Scrubs.
Yeah. I built from Airfix Apollo 11.